Hey everyone, ready for some NFL drama?
Always.
We're diving into the wild world of Davante Adams and the New York Jets today. Talk about a season that's gone off the rails, huh?
Yeah, it's been rough.
Our main source for this deep dive is an article from Heavy.com. Jets already told to cut ex-Raiders WR Davante Adams. It came out on November 23rd, 2024.
Wow, November 23rd already.
Right. So the big question is, are the Jets really thinking about cutting one of the best receivers in the league?
It's a wild thought, but it's the NFL. Anything is possible.
Exactly. And on top of that, what does all this mean for Adams' future? Let's break it all down.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so first let's recap how we got here. The Jets started the season with so much hype after they got Aaron Rodgers.
Super Bowl or bust, that's what everyone was saying.
They were the team everyone was talking about. Now, a dismal 3-8 record, their head coach is gone, and even the general manager got fired.
Oof, that's gotta hurt.
And if that wasn't bad enough, the rumor mill is churning about Rodgers wanting out in 2025.
It's a harsh reminder that big names don't always equal wins. And the Davante Adams situation, well, it's become a symbol of the Jets' whole meltdown.
It's crazy how fast things changed. So, zooming in on Adams specifically, he's only been with the Jets for one season, but some people are already saying it's time to cut him loose.
Like Alex Ballantyne from Bleacher Report, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
It seems a little harsh, don't you think?
Well, there are a few things to consider. First, that massive contract of his. He's set to make a whopping $30 million next season.
Whoa, $30 million.
That's right. A huge chunk of the salary cap, especially for a team that needs to rebuild from the ground up. Think about it, that's more than some teams spend on their entire offensive line.
You're right, that's a lot of money.
Mhm.
So it's not just about how good he is, it's about the financial pressure on a team that needs to, start fresh.
Exactly. And then there's the age factor. Adams is 31, turning 32 soon. And let's face it, wide receivers don't tend to age like fine wine, especially compared to quarterbacks.
So the Jets might not want to risk that much money on a player who might, well, be past his prime.
It's a tough call, but that's the business side of things.
It's true. But Adams has said he's actually happier with the Jets than he was with the Raiders. He even believes they have a good shot at winning in the long run.
He has, and that's where it gets interesting. You got to factor in the player's point of view, their belief in the team, and what they want for their own career. It's like trying to balance what's best for the team and what the player wants.
It's a tough situation, for sure. And then there's that diva label that sometimes gets attached to Adams. Does that factor into all of this?
Oh, it definitely adds another layer of complication. Now, I'm not saying he is a diva, but there have been a few incidents like that sideline outburst during a Raiders game last season.
Right, I remember that.
Things like that contribute to a certain perception. Teams definitely consider that, especially when talking about a long-term commitment.
So it's not just about the stats, it's the whole package, huh? Performance, personality, potential, and how it all fits into what the Jets are trying to do.
You got it. It's a big puzzle. Now, looking at Adams' performance this season, he was averaging almost 70 receiving yards per game with the Raiders.
He was on fire.
With the Jets, that's down to about 55. Still good, but a definite drop.
Do you think that's just him adjusting to a new system? Or is it something else? Maybe he's just not a good fit for how the Jets play offense.
It's hard to say for sure. Could be a mix of things. New team, new quarterback, even all the off-field drama surrounding the Jets this season.
Yeah, that can't be easy to deal with.
But it definitely raises some questions about whether he can get back to that elite level, especially as he gets older.
And with that $30 million cap hit on the horizon, the Jets might not want to wait around to find out.
They've got some tough decisions to make, and fast.
No doubt about it. And whatever they decide, it's going to have a ripple effect throughout the whole league. Other teams are watching all of this very closely.
You know it. And if the Jets cut Adams loose, get ready for a frenzy of speculation about where he'll land next.
The rumor mill will be working overtime. So let's talk potential landing spots. The article mentions some big contenders. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens.
Hold on. Before we start drafting fantasy teams, let's remember one crucial thing. Players like Adams, even with that diva label, often have more power than we think.
Oh, I see what you mean.
He's a Super Bowl champ, he's proven himself on the field, and he's made it clear he wants to win. He's not just going to go to the highest bidder. It has to be the right fit.
That's a great point. So it's not just about which teams want Adams, it's about which teams he'd actually consider playing for.
Exactly. It adds another layer of intrigue to this whole saga.
Okay, so let's look at those contenders with Adams' perspective in mind. What about Buffalo? Do you think they'd be a good fit?
Well, they've got the quarterback and the offensive firepower to make him happy, that's for sure. Imagine Josh Allen's arm strength paired with Adams' route running. That could be a killer combo.
Yeah.
But then there's the question of ego. Could two strong personalities like Adams and Stephon Diggs coexist in the same locker room?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point.
And would Adams be content as a second option after being the main guy for so long?
Interesting. It wouldn't be the first time a team tried to put two superstar receivers together. Doesn't always work out, though.
You're telling me chemistry matters. And you know Adams will be thinking about that.
Okay, so maybe Buffalo isn't the perfect fit. What about the Chiefs? They're always in the Super Bowl conversation. And let's be honest, Patrick Mahomes can make any receiver look good.
True, but they already have Travis Kelce, arguably the best tight end in the game right now.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Plus, they've got a solid group of young receivers. Adding Adams might be overkill. Too many mouths to feed, you know?
Right, gotta spread the ball around.
Exactly, and I'm not sure their offensive scheme, which really focuses on spreading the ball around, would be ideal for Adams.
Yeah, that makes sense. So not the Chiefs either. What about the Ravens? They've always been a run-first team, but Lamar Jackson's passing has gotten better. Could Adams be the missing piece they need?
It's an interesting thought. Adams's precision route running could be a good balance to Jackson's more, shall we say, improvisational style.
Right.
But again, we have to think about Adams's goals. Would he be okay joining a team that, even with him, might not be a real Super Bowl contender?
I see what you mean. It's not just about finding a team that meets a receiver. It's about finding a team that fits Adams's ambitions and playing style. A team he believes can actually win a championship.
You hit the nail on the head, and that's what makes this whole situation so fascinating. There are so many factors, so many things to consider.
Like a giant game of chess, with every move having consequences.
Exactly. Speaking of chess, let's not forget about the elephant in the room. Green Bay, the article mentions a reunion with Aaron Rodgers, but...
Wow. Come on, that's more like a dream than reality, right?
Pretty much. Adams basically forced his way out of Green Bay just a couple of years ago. Would they really welcome him back after all that drama?
Yeah, probably not.
And would Adams be happy playing second fiddle to Christian Watson, who's become a star in Green Bay?
Right, Watson's killing it. I get it. It's a nice story for the fans, but not very practical.
Exactly. Sometimes you just have to move on.
Okay, so if those teams are off the table, what's left? Are there any other teams that could be a good fit for Adams?
Well, there are always a few dark horse candidates out there. You know, teams that might not be considered contenders right now, but could surprise people with the right pieces in place.
Okay, I like where this is going. Give me some names.
Let's think about teams with a strong quarterback, a good offensive scheme, and a need for a game-changing receiver. Maybe a team that's just one or two pieces away from being a serious contender.
All right, you've got me hooked. Tell me more.
How about the Los Angeles Chargers? They have Justin Herbert, one of the most talented young quarterbacks in the league.
Oh yeah, Herbert's the real deal.
And they've got a high-powered offense that could use Adams' route-running skills. Plus, they're in win-now mode with Herbert on his rookie contract.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I hadn't thought of. They could definitely use another weapon alongside Keenan Allen.
Exactly. With Adams, they could become one of the scariest offenses in the league.
Okay, so the Chargers are a possibility. Any others?
Let me see. How about the New Orleans Saints? They have a tough defense and a solid run game, but their passing game has been a little inconsistent. Adding Adams could be the spark they need, especially with Michael Thomas getting up there in age.
Another good one. Plus, New Orleans is a great city. And who wouldn't want to play with Derek Carr? He's putting up some big numbers this season.
True. And Carr has a history of making his receivers look good. Remember what he did with Davante Adams back when they were both with the Raiders?
Oh, yeah. Those two were practically unstoppable.
Exactly. So the Saints could definitely be in the running for Adams.
Okay, we've got the Chargers, the Saints. Any other teams you think could make a play for him?
Well, there's always the chance of a reunion with Derek Carr in New Orleans. But you know, this whole thing with Adams and the Jets, it really highlights a bigger trend in the NFL. The value of veteran wide receivers, it's changing.
Ooh, I like that. Tell me more. I'm always fascinated by that kind of stuff, the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Well, think about it. We've seen a bunch of big-name receivers, guys who are stars on one team, struggle when they switch teams later in their careers.
It's true.
Remember Odell Beckham Jr. with the Rams? That didn't last long. Or DeAndre Hopkins going to the Titans. It's not always a smooth transition.
So it's not just about how talented you are. It's got to be the right fit, the right system. maybe even a little bit of luck.
Exactly. And for teams, it's a gamble. You're weighing the potential, the upside of getting a proven star against the risk that they might not perform as well and that big contract they come with.
Yeah, and with the salary cap always there, teams have to be really careful about how they spend their money, especially if they're rebuilding, like the Jets.
Right. It's a balancing act. And in Adams's case, it's even trickier because of that diva label. Whether it's fair or not, that perception can really affect a player's value, make teams think twice about signing them.
So it's not just about what he can do on the field. It's about how he fits into the team's culture, the locker room.
You got it. And for a guy like Adams, who's already accomplished so much, it's about finding that perfect situation to make the most of his remaining years. Maybe even add another Super Bowl ring to his collection.
It makes you wonder, what will his legacy be when it's all said and done? Will he be remembered as one of the greats, or will this whole Jets thing overshadow everything he's done?
That's a question for the history books, I guess. But one thing's for sure, Davante Adams has made his mark on the NFL. He's a game changer, a highlight reel waiting to happen, and a player who's always pushed the limits of what a wide receiver can do.
He's definitely been one of the most exciting players to watch over the past, 10 years? And even though his future's up in the air right now, you just know he's going to make headlines wherever he ends up.
Absolutely. This isn't the end of the Davante Adams story. It's just the start of a new chapter. And as for the Jets, well, they've got some hard choices to make, but they also have a chance to build something special.
It reminds you that the NFL is always changing, full of surprises.
Yeah.
What looks like a sure thing one day could be totally different the next.
And that's what keeps us hooked. The drama, the excitement, the endless possibilities. It's a game of inches, both on and off the field.
Well said. So, for our listeners out there, what's the big takeaway from all of this?
I think it's this. Talent alone isn't enough in the NFL. It's about finding the right fit, the right timing, and yeah, maybe even a little bit of luck. Sometimes even the biggest stars have to adjust their expectations and find a new way to succeed.
That's a great point. And as we've seen with Davante Adams, that journey can be full of twists and turns. Who knows where he'll be playing next season? But wherever it is, it's going to be a fun ride to watch.
Here's something else to think about. We talked about contenders like the Bills and Chiefs, but what if Adams is willing to take less money to join a team that's close to being great? A team with a young quarterback, a coach who can bring out the best in him. Could a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Detroit Lions go after him?
Wow. Those are interesting. You never know what's going to happen in the NFL. That's what makes it so much fun to follow.
Exactly. So keep your eyes peeled, your ears open. The next chapter of the story is just waiting to be written.
And hey, maybe we'll be back here next season doing another deep dive on Davante Adams. Until then, thanks for joining us, and keep exploring.